Betsey Johnson, once called the wild child of fashion, is always avant-garde and anything but predictable. She first stepped into the limelight in the 1960s, and 7th Avenue immediately fell head over heels for this former cheerleader from Connecticut. Now, world famous for sexy silhouettes that sparkle and shine, she's larger than life, a designer who defied the rules and made it to the top. Her Hamptons home, which she calls My Blue Heaven, is truly a slice of paradise. The house is colorful, comfortable, a little bit country, and altogether girly. And it brings together all the elements of her life. For Betsey and her daughter Lulu, it's like a giant scrapbook with lots inside.
This house reminds me of my secret garden. It's flowers and gardens and girly, and it's so much you. I mean, this is the girly, fun part of you, this place. What inspired you? How'd you pick the colors? Tell me about it.
I realized I needed to spend more time with Lulu, and we needed a place outside of New York. She said, we got to go to the Hamptons, and I said, not any place but the Hamptons. I can't do it. It's New York on the beach. It's a fashion. I can't do it. And I said, okay, Lulu, one summer and one summer only will I come out here. And we just lived a couple miles from here, and same in the woods and the little dead-end street too. And I just really liked it. I liked seeing the people of my business in flip-flops on the street. At the end of the summer, you know, she said, let's go look to buy. I said, I'll buy. Sure enough, and this was the first house I looked at. And this was the cheapest house. And then I looked at about 10 others that were twice as expensive and nightmares. And I knew when I saw this house, I know I'm going to get this place.
But it didn't look like this at all.
No, it was as a white contemporary with lots of rooms, like 4 rooms in there, not open.
Yes. It's a contemporary house. What? So you shingled the roof. Well, did it have a shingle?
No, it had shingled roof.
It had a shingle roof.
I did the striped awnings and the color blue.
Which is great.
Or blue-green. Well, I call it more blue than green. I had to paint the whole house over for the 5th time because it was a little too green.
Yeah, and this is like the blue.
I knew when I got this house, I said, you know, I'm going to do a show out here one day. And I just felt, you know, on my 60th birthday, can't I do what I really want to do when I want to do it? So I just went on overdrive, rushing the planting and the decorating, and sure enough, bust out all the models and the hair and the makeup and you, and we're here, and the fashion show. Ah!
But you know what? It was.
So I love this place. It's my show place too.
But it is. It brought together all the elements of your life.
They say home is where the heart is, and there's a great deal of heart in Betsey Johnson's home. Of course, there are a lot of other things in there too.
I just need to make a space for myself that is so entertaining and cozy, and there are so many little things to look at that are memories for me. I mean, it's not, you know, I think it's all about just remembering your life.
You started out as a dancer. That's what your training was.
I wanted, no one will know these names. I really wanted to be a rockette, #1. And if I couldn't be that, I would be a chorus girl on Broadway, if not Mitzi Gaynor or Sid Charisse. And I was serious. That's how I got to know New York. My ex-Broadway dancing teacher would drag me to New York all the time, but I was passionate about that.
You went to dancing school, and you and your mother literally made your costumes. And your sense of clothing and spirit has to do with dance costumes.
I think I'm more cut out to be a costume designer. I should have done maybe the movie costume design thing, because my love growing up was showtime, recital time, the makeup that we'd live in, and the pretend that it would be all about.
Quite comfortable taking center stage, Betsey Johnson's next move was to center court. She became a cheerleader.
So, I don't know, I just didn't know what to do with it all, but I did have a real happy do what I want, you know, cheerleading. My brother and sister were the basketball sports kids and cheerleader too.
And then you went to Syracuse where you were also a cheerleader.
I just looked for a real rah-rah cheerleading school as my main priority with a nice little art department thrown in. And I just happened to go to Syracuse University first. And it was spring and the campus and the green and the football field. And I thought, this is it. And yeah, and I did 4 years and I ended up cheerleading and head cheerleader.
You still are a cheerleader. That's the point. You're a cheerleader for the things you believe in. You have more energy. You still do cartwheels down at the end of every
with my
fashion
knees
show.
and my I don't know if I can do the cartwheel this September.
My money's on you.
Although Betsey Johnson often escapes to her Hamptons home, she can never get away from her work, so she takes it with her.
This is what we did this week.
Oh, wow. It's great.
Yep, this is June, July, August, September, October. This thing we did from Monday, and Monica didn't even get out here till Tuesday morning. We did this in 4 days out here, having a nice time at the same time.
And Monica works as your design assistant, and the two of you come up with this together in labor-intensive sessions.
Yeah.
You know, your big start was when you got named, what, Mademoiselle Guest Editor. Tell me about that.
There was this contest run by Mademoiselle magazine at the time. And the reason I wanted to win was because you got to hang out, you got a job working on the magazine for 1 month in the summertime. And the best part was every year they sent the 20 guest editors on a mega trip. And I'm thinking, I really want to travel. I want to win this thing. And that contest took a year of my senior year, critiquing this magazine, doing clothes. And, you know, I related enough to Mademoiselle and the fashion stuff because I could make the clothes out of my fabrics and the art. I was the art side, you know. And I still have my telegram from Betsy Blackwell, who's long gone, that I did win. And we went, 1964, that year, they sent us to London. And that was total Mary Quant, mod, rocker. I mean, it was
Everything
London
was
in its. I remember, we didn't sleep for a week.
That job at Mademoiselle took Betsey Johnson a lot further than England. It helped Betsey land her big break at the fashion label Paraphernalia, owned by Paul Young.
And those girls from Mademoiselle heard about Paul doing Paraphernalia, bringing European young talent to America and wanting to find 4 or 5 or 6 or 1 or 2 American designers, small, and put their clothes out there with their names in the label right off the bat.
Which was a big deal.
Huge.
Big deal.
Paraphernalia by Betsey Johnson, my first job, my first dress.
Up next, Betsey Johnson's inner circle and the 60s celebs who like to swing by her showroom.
My guilty pleasure, my guilty pleasure, my guilty pleasure. Champagne. To me, I realized I'm such a sentimental dope. This is my door from upstate New York, my little farmhouse, which I loved. I loved it, but I had no life there, and I lived like a nun, and Lulu hated it. But I took the door from the house, and this kind of gave the house a little bit more character.
Character. That's something Betsey Johnson gives all her creations. Her flirty, form-fitting clothing also bursts with personality. And that signature style makes her a favorite with today's biggest stars. Everyone from Britney Spears and Mariah Carey to Halle Berry and Cameron Diaz. They all love Betsey Johnson, and they always have.
I'll throw out some names. We'll fake Barbara Walters. I'll throw out some names. Edie Sedgwick.
My fitting model. Edie was Andy Warhol's official first superstar. A Bostonian, wealthy family, kind of screwed up little girl. Really sweet. She came over like whenever she wanted to in the afternoon, like 2-3 times a week. I'd pay her by check, and then Paraphernalia would reimburse me. It was really cornball and simple.
Julie Christie.
Julie Christie just she was a dear friend of Paul's, along with Geraldine Chaplin, Jane Birkin, Verushka he knew from the fashion world. And they would literally, when they'd be in New York and I'm at paraphernalia in my little workroom every day, they would just pop in.
Andy Warhol, what was he like?
You know, Andy, he was at my wedding reception when John and I got married. I think of all the times that I've been around Andy, I think I remember maybe 2 sentences that he said. He was just very, very shy and very sweet.
You ended up marrying John Cale, who was one of the founders of the Velvet Underground. I mean, he was iconic to that era.
I mean, we were both too young and too, on the road to whatever. But we gave it a try. And like most things, for me, it lasted like 2.5 years. And we had different directions to go in. And I was with John during the split with Lou and the Velvets, and oh God, I mean, they blamed it on me. I felt like Yoko Ono breaking up the Beatles, or, you know, it got weird at the end, but John had to move on, and we just moved on, you know, our own separate ways. We couldn't handle it. We were too young to have anything that good and that real at that time.
You've been married 3 times.
Yeah.
That's the one area. You don't have any regrets, though. I mean, this is all, you do what you want. That's the main thing about you. You've always done what you want in terms of your professional life and your personal life.
Well, I would prefer to have met Mr. Right first time out and have a very happily married life and family and more kids. And I would have loved that, but I was out protecting myself more than any other idea that I had in my head. And I first of all wanted to work. I needed to have my career. I didn't see it like that, but now looking back, I needed my work. It was kind of like my lover, my best boyfriend, my forever husband. I ran to my work. My work protected me. My work was my saving grace. So my work was always more important than any man that ever came along.
Now, did you always know about gardening from when you
No,
were growing up?
I have a black thumb, Judy, I just go shopping a lot and buy plants that are alive and well and grown. So I don't have to go through the pain of, are they gonna grow, when is the, I buy a garden all done from the store and I just throw it in.
Betsey Johnson is modest about her garden. It's a source of inspiration, a place for reflection, and a sanctuary, one she shares with daughter Lulu.
That's the thing. I mean, every generation has to rebel against the one before it, even if it means being more like the one before that. Mm-hmm. And that was always the joke. We've talked about this a lot. I mean, it was always very strange for you to raise this daughter as a single mother who ended up being far more conservative than you. And, when she was younger, was even vaguely embarrassed because you were out there.
Oh, she wouldn't walk on the same side of the street as me half the time. We are still so cloned close. I mean, we just grew up together. I mean, her father split 3 weeks after she was born. It's been just me and Lulu, but, we've had very, very different styles. We're crazy about each other, but we are extremely opposite in that, and she likes to run me. Your kids, when it's just one-on-one with no pops in there,
Even
kids like to tell you what to do, so there's always that. Lucy, come on. Lucy, slow, slow. Oh, she's getting so much better. Sit, that's what she does.
I'm so impressed.
This is my best girlfriend on earth. She's really Lulu's dog. But Lulu's boyfriend, Arthur, has this big cat that does not get along too good with Lucy. So Lulu gave me Lucy about 3 years ago. She is the sweetest dog. She's a great watchdog. She barks at everything. So not that she's gonna save me from the banditos, but at least I know.
You know when they're coming.
I know they're coming.
By the early 1970s, Betsey Johnson had left paraphernalia and her husband John Cale. Faced with few job prospects, she went into business with two friends and opened a trendy New York City boutique called Betsey, Bunky, and Nini. That in turn led to Alley Cat and the Cody Award. And after flirting with early retirement, Johnson found new inspiration from an old friend, rock and roll.
Something new was happening. It was called Vivienne Westwood and Malcolm McLaren and
It was punk.
it was punk and the Sex Pistols and Sid and Nancy and the new version of 60s. It was just like the 60s, only rock and roll and modern far out fashion was called punk.
It was just more black, basically.
More black and more raw.
Right.
And Madonna with the black bra strap showing.
It was the music and the clothes being melded again, which was the first time that it happened since the 60s, and I think that was a big part of it. You've always been in tune to that.
And Prince, and you had MTV and VH1. So instead of fashion magazines being our only window to dress up ideas and hair and makeup ideas, all of a sudden fashion was part of the whole world, and I thought it's time to do my business. This is a dress that used to have Polaroids of me and my friends in them and candy and present. We shipped it. This was like real punked out rock and roll roller skate in the 80s. On August 10th, my birthday, we opened our company. I looked like another person. I had jet black, spiky hair, tons of makeup, still from the 60s. I was really skinny. I had lost so much weight. We were never sleeping. We lived on cans of tuna fish.
Living on cans of tuna turned out to be a recipe for riches. Her label was an instant hit, and Betsey Johnson was on top of the world. But in her second season, a simple miscalculation threatened to spoil the success.
We did $250,000 just as we projected the first season. In the second season, we decided to triple. And that's when we were like this far from going under. And I had a huge sale of all my vintage, all my everything to save ourselves because the bank was going to close us down. Second season. When we overprojected in 1978 and a half, when Chantal and I went into business, we overprojected, we overproduced before we sold, you know.
Mistake you don't do so
Mistake
much
you
anymore.
don't do. You make sure you have your orders before you put the knife to the velvet.
There's no keeping Betsey Johnson down, and that financial flub gave birth to a bold and brilliant business move.
And Annie says, you know, there's a little funky store on Thompson Street in Soho. Why don't you open a retail store? At least you'll have a place to dump your stuff. And it was a low rent, tiny little shoebox of a store. It was the Peter Fox shoe store now. And what we realized from that store is kind of out of the cracks came this customer that didn't forget me from the Alley Cat days. We had no idea that in having your own retail operation, you build an independent strength you can count on. You build a customer that loves you and you love her, and hopefully they keep coming back with nobody in between.
And nobody knew it was an act of total desperation.
Total desperation, screw up.
Up next, the secret Betsey Johnson revealed to almost no one.
One tip I would like to give to all women is get their checkups. Early detection is the cure.
Heavens to Betsey Johnson, that is. Her clothing sparkles, shimmers, and glitters, much like Betsey herself. Every season, throngs of fans mob her runway show, eagerly anticipating her outrageous, sometimes naughty, and always colorful collections. Her life seems a lot like a fantastic party, full of fun and ever fabulous. But not every moment can be carefree. In fact, a few years back, life took a very serious turn.
You, of course, had a situation where suddenly you discovered you had breast cancer.
Yeah. I had a mammogram 6 months earlier, and I swear I I attribute it to my ex-husband. No, I think it was stress. It was difficult for me, the divorce, and it was just difficult. And I swear that's when I got it. My last doctor visit to find out if I had it or not was on a Thursday afternoon in December, and I had to rush through my appointment because it was our annual Christmas party. That day at 5 o'clock, I had to be back at work for the Christmas party, and my appointment was at like 3:30. I get in the cab, I know I have breast cancer, and I decided I was gonna lie, I was gonna get through it, because I just was so afraid for my business that, your own health, who cares really, but the business, that people would think I was dead before I was dying, and I had that feeling of like, I am not gonna let anyone know. I got to that Christmas party, and every dance I danced, I thought, maybe this is my last dance. It was a trip. So this is my breast cancer statue. I like this statue, and then I realized, oh my God, her left breast is damaged. There's my breast cancer girl.
She's still
She always
a thing of beauty.
reminds me of it,
Betsey Johnson is a survivor in every sense of the word. She beat cancer and now eagerly embraces new challenges.
I love your little chandelier, your little poolside chandelier. That was an interesting touch. What prompted that?
Oh, I just went out antiquing one day, and I'm going to take that to Mexico, though. Everything is now, does it stay here or does it go to Mexico? See, and it has a little baby sister here, or whatever it is. The decision is, because it's hard to find this stuff anymore.
After taking America by storm, Betsey Johnson is setting her sights on Mexico. The people and culture inspire her tremendously, so much so she decided to make it her second home.
I see this little hotel. I said, I'm coming back in a month to do my work marathon in this little hotel. 2 days I'm staying in the hotel. There's nobody else there because the guy that built it, Luis, really doesn't want to have company. It's like 3 little palapas, and he likes it better alone, but Margot got me in the hotel, and I said, Luis, I just love this place. It felt like a home with 3 bedrooms. And so, yeah, he said, yeah, I want to sell it. You want to buy it? 2 weeks later, Thanksgiving, I own it, and I'm starting to decorate. And then I realized, one person with 4 houses, what am I going to do with these things? So this will be my first ad for Betseyville.
Betseyville is going to be a hotel?
I am making Betseyville, which is twice its size, 2 swimming pools, a grand suite, a cool, grand place. So I'm going to have this little hotel business.
There's a small hotel.
It's the most exciting thing for me, this Betseyville hotel. It's Mexico. One house is going to be like a monastery. My Guadalupe, because my town is total Guadalupe crazy.
Right.
Very religious town. Lots of little parades and ceremonies. She's got to go to Mexico. She'll be understood there. Here people come and go, hey, so you're a heavy-duty Catholic, huh?
There's no doubt about it. Betsey Johnson is tireless, timeless, and always cutting edge. In fact, Johnson was honored by the Council of Fashion Designers in 1999 for those qualities and so much more.
You know, Betsey, for me, as your friend, one of the most exciting moments was when you got, just a few short years ago, your award from the CFDA. When you got, what was it called again?
The Timeless Talent thing, they invented it for me. That was the only time, that night, that occasion, that 3 minutes I had, was the first and last time that I just felt like I had arrived, that I was so respected and loved, and people finally knew me and let me really have a little pedestal in that fashion world, which I was kind of always the weirdo, the outcast, the nonconformist kind of girl. So that was huge for me. And I realized the trick why My house looks different from someone trying to do a cute, antique, personal, homey, English cottage kind of look. There's years of lives in that house.
Your career has been, like you, quirky, full of energy, survivor, prevailer.
Up and down, like the ocean. I mean, it's, there's the good side to it about how my career's been so weird, and then there's a downside to it too. I didn't do those genius, huge things that sometimes I think, wow, I could have been a Calvin, I could have been a Donna, or could I, or would I? And I end up thinking, it's always scary and like the Atlantic Ocean, but I think I'm really happy about the way it's gone.
Nanette Lepore has established herself as a player in the high-stakes industry of fashion. Her designs are a daring mix of knits, flowing exotic prints, and boldly applied embroidery. Her use of soft pinks and powder blues reflect the vintage influence of her feminine designs, and her brightly colored fabrics combine to make every piece ultra chic. No wonder the Nanette Lepore label has become a favorite among women looking to add personality to their wardrobe with carefully crafted pieces that exude high style with a modern edge.